All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode, I think, 7 of the SportsTalk with Duey podcast. Two familiar faces on today. Couple weeks, Pitt Football will hopefully bounce back after last season's woes and a new, fresh season. So today we're going to be previewing this year's Pitt Football team. We have two familiar faces, Tim and Fish. Welcome back. And so, are you guys excited for Pitt Football this season?
Start us off, Fish.
Sure, yeah. I'm very excited. Yeah, I it stinks because, we've went to like every single game every year the past couple of years, and now I'm in Boston, so I'm not gonna be that's not gonna be the situation. But that's not to say that I'm not like super excited for this upcoming season. We got a new quarterback, new offense, a lot to look forward to on that front. And the defensive side, well, I'm really interested to see how the D line will fare without Coach Partridge. And like it's relatively young, like the linebacking core is really young, so there's just like a lot of exciting components that we're going to be watching this year. And it should be fun. I see this team having a very low floor but high ceiling. So it's like a box of chocolates. So you don't know what you're going to get. So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, I get very excited this time of year. It's gonna be weird sitting in normal seats, like the Fish alluded to. It's gonna be very just odd being in the Panther Pit. But I'm looking forward to the season. Year 10 of the Narduzzi era feels like year one right now. I mean, he completely destroyed any resemblance of a championship team. So it's good to see. It'll be good to see Cade Bell and see what Yarnell can do. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But yeah, I feel the same way. It's gonna be really weird. I mean, last 4 years we were getting you had to like it was like the apocalypse getting your seat. You had to be like scared if you're gonna lose your seat or not. I mean, getting there 4 hours before every game to the rally towels. Now it's like, oh, I have to pull 15 minutes before the game because I'm not seeing the Panther Pit either. I think my time is done. But yeah, just recap last season. You guys already kind of did, but yeah. So I mean, we were 3-9. That's just completely terrible. I mean, it didn't even feel like we went 3-9. It just like our offense was so bad. I thought our defense was good, as fine as usual, but it was just an awful season. And those three bad wins were just attributed to Frank Signetti's bad offense. I mean, this play calling was atrocious. But the positive of it is I had front row seats every single game, and that was the only positive of it. I was front row having a blast in the Panther Pit, and that was legit the only positive last season. So what are your guys' overall takes of last season?
yeah, I mean, like you said, it just absolutely terrible. Like there's no other way to put it. Like it just I don't understand how we could go from 2 years ago, ACC or 3 years ago now, ACC champion, in just the span of 2 years to 3-9 when bottom of the conference. It just doesn't really make any sense. And I mean, like a lot of it has like a lot of the credit for, or I guess credit's the wrong word, but a lot of the reason why that happened was because of Signetti's offense and like the fact that we want to run the ball so much and not even have Rodney Hammond in the game most of the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I thought Sibo did pretty well, but he's no Rodney Hammond, right? So it's just like, and the fact that our offensive line was hurt all year and like, we were down to second and third stringers at pretty much every position. And the quarterback play was pretty underwhelming. He's kind of an understatement, really underwhelming. I mean, pretty much everything went wrong on offense. Like you said, Dewey, the defense was pretty solid, but it's like, you can't really do much if you're not going to be scoring like 20, 25 points per game. Like you can't expect to win many games not doing that. Yeah.
There was total coaching malpractice last year. It was quite disgraceful, honestly. Narduzzi yet again whiffed on a transfer quarterback. Bringing Dracovigan was, I mean, looking on paper, but it ended up being a complete, I mean, just total, utter disaster. We had the West Virginia debacle. We had the Cincinnati debacle where Jacobin like he was just staring into space, throwing a ghost the whole time. And the worst part was Narduzzi just let it happen. He let Signetti have total control of who started. He let Signetti have total control of how the game would go in terms of the running and the lack of throwing the ball. So it was just quite embarrassing, honestly, especially at the whole Boo City thing. So it was just definitely it was over before it started, honestly.
Yeah, it was definitely a lost season. I mean, this program started to crack when Narduzzi and Whipple had their fight and Whipple left. I mean, Whipple I think, was one of the main reasons why he won the ACC championship. His offense was an NFL pro offense. His recruiting was fantastic. All those guys on that offense he got. Last year, we won 9 games, but that team wasn't very good. Besides, we were returning a bunch of those guys. That offense was still terrible. we returned the whole offensive line and Izzy, and that's the reason why we won 9 games. But then you can see the cracks that year, and those cracks were exposed last year. It was total embarrassing. His play calling was awful, running the balls right up the middle, right into the centers. But every play just didn't work. Passing game was like it was a 1965 offense. It was completely embarrassing, and I just think Narduzzi made a huge mistake. Whipple was a little bit older. I think it was fine from the league, but he should have promoted Brendan Marion right away. That guy's probably the best offensive coordinator in college football right now. We just let him go. And it was just Narduzzi finally realized offense wins in college football. You can't really win games only scoring 15 points. It's not the 1960s. You guys, who usually wins a national championship has the best offense, and he just made a huge mistake. He was a little bit stubborn trying to run. I love Coach Dew, so I've only had good interaction with him, but just his stubbornness was not good the last couple of years. So this year's team, Tim already talked a lot about Coach Narduzzi. The big news of the offseason is hiring Cade Bell from Western Carolina. His offense is called like play fast, score faster, or something. Did I get that wrong?
You're good, right?
Okay. And that it's a quote unquote go offense, which what we should be playing: high pace, no huddle, score the most points you can. That's what wins now. Narduzzi had to get out of his comfort zone with this hire, and he did, which I'm really happy with. The new offense. So yeah, what's your talk about this year's team and any takes you have, or what do you think of the offseason?
Well, I mean, I think the thing that we need to remember is a lot of the skill position players that we had last year that were actually good, we're bringing back. Like Rodney Hammond, Gavin Bartholomew. I'd even go as far like Konate Mumfield is probably someone who it's good that we kept around. Like that sort of core of players who we didn't get the best out of them in last year's offense. They're returning and ready for a bounce back season. I'm sure they're going to be used more frequently. It's just the big question marks right now are the quarterback position and the offensive line. And like if the offensive line can be consistent and like we can avoid injuries, I think this team can win 8 or 9 games. Like it has potential with the skill position players to win that many games if we get good quarterback play, if the offensive line stays healthy. Those are two big asks, right? Which is why this team is probably not at that point. That this offense is probably not at that point, especially like there's going to be growing pains in the first year with a new coordinator. But there is that ceiling there, in my opinion. And especially since we brought in some of the Western Carolina players who have used that offense, like Desmond Reed and CJ Lee, who can, get inserted in there from time to time. They're not going to be top of the depth chart right away, but they know Cade Bell's offense and they were good players in it last year, as far as I know. So that's sort of my take on the offense.
Bringing back Hammond and Bartholomew, that was the biggest success of the offseason, like you talked about.
For sure.
It had to be done. Thank goodness. Trust me, they could have left. And in all honesty, I wouldn't have blamed them if they did. I mean, they were completely underused the past 2 years. That was awful. Never should have been the case. But they're back. Kenny Johnson as well. There's someone I think is going to have a big season. He had the big kickoff return touchdown last year. Showed some solid flashes. So I think it's going to be. I think he's going to have a good year. Yarnell, biggest question mark as we talked about. It's hard to take what he did last year, the last 2 years. It's hard to take it with a grain of salt because that was under the Signetti umbrella. I mean, I think Cade Bell's going to develop him very well. I think he's had a great offseason. The pace is going to be much faster, as we know. We're gonna get the ball in the field quick. Cade Bell said he wants to average 50 points a game. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it's encouraging to hear that we're gonna have some offense at Pitt finally.
Yeah, I really like what you guys said. I agree 100% with Fish. I think our weapons last year and this year were really good. It's just like, what are you supposed to do when your quarterback can't throw a ball more than 5 yards? Like,
Right.
Tony always craps on Bub Means for no reason. Bub Means was fantastic. When he was so fast and physical. Like, that guy was a really good wide receiver. He got drafted in the 5th round when a quarterback couldn't throw to him. That's pretty impressive.
And
Like,
he had a competent quarterback throwing to him. I mean, my goodness, he was unstoppable.
if he had a competent quarterback, he could have been a first-round pick. That
Yeah.
guy, he's ready for the NFL. He's a big guy. He's fast. He's a beast. Like, I love Bub Means. And you know what? We'll talk about more about, like, all the position groups, but just briefly, I mean, I like the offensive line a lot this year. I think it's going to be good. And yeah, I mean, I think we needed a modern offensive coordinator. We can't be in the 1960s anymore. We're not winning any games with that offense. So yeah, let's just go position by position in the depth chart. So let's start with quarterback. Yarnell definitely looks like the starter. Pretty good. His first career start was against Western Michigan. Didn't really ask him to do much that game, but he got the job done. I thought last year he beat BC. We lost to Duke, but I thought he played pretty well in that game. So what do you guys think about Yarnell this season as a starter?
Yeah, I like Yarnell, but I will say I didn't really see much out of him in the past couple of years that we didn't see from like Vayer. Like I think they were kind of similar. I personally am not like a huge Vayer hater because he got put into a terrible offense and like a terrible situation. But I thought he did well, all things considered. But like at the end of the day, if you're not scoring, again, if you're averaging 20 points, less than 20 points per game in non against non FCS competition, then like things are gonna have to change at that position. But I do think that if Yarnell, now that he has the first team reps, and has that experience with this new offense, he should take a step forward this year. He is a breakout candidate. And if he doesn't, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a former 4-star recruit who previously committed to Alabama and Eli Holstein right behind him. I'm like cautiously optimistic, but I don't want to go in all in and say yes, he's going to break out. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, these past 2 years, it's interesting. Yarnell goes from being the scout team quarterback, simulating what other quarterbacks are going to be doing, to now he has the keys to the offense. 6'6", can move a little bit, pretty accurate thrower from what we've seen. I think he has a lot of great potential. I think Kate Bell's going to turn him loose this year, hopefully, and it's good to be cautiously optimistic. Obviously, I mean, we have minimum tape on him, but I think it's going to be better than like the slow with Intercovic prototype for sure. So I'm feeling
Yes.
optimistic as well. He'll get the ball moving, 'cause that's the most important thing right now.
Yeah, and I think he's slightly more mobile than honestly all the guys that we've had recently. Like ever since Slovis, maybe Patty was kind of mobile, not really. And then like
Patty's pretty
last,
mobile.
yeah, and then last year, Djokovic and Bayer just were not at all. And Yardell definitely has that skill that those like past recent quarterbacks don't.
He seems to have a lot better composure as well. He's calm, cool, and collected at all times. Even going into that Western Michigan game, he just looked like it was a business trip. I mean, he looked very calm.
Play the piano before every game, right? That's what he
Exactly.
does.
That's I love that. I want that in my
Yeah,
leader.
for sure.
Yeah, I like Yarnell. I mean, what do you expect when you had to play for Frank Signetti last 2 years? I thought out of all the quarterbacks last year, he was definitely the best. Vayer was terrible. Like he was the most one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks I've seen in my life. I mean, every game it was like 11 for 30. I thought he was awful, and I thought Yarnell was actually pretty dang accurate the last two games. So let's go to the really exciting part of this team, which are the running backs. Like Tim mentioned, getting Ronnie Hannon back. I feel like he was that meme with that Lamborghini parked in that really like ugly cheap house. We just didn't use him at all last year. So talk about the running back room, fellas.
Yeah, got a lot of depth there, even behind Rodney Hammond, like with Desmond Reed coming in. Derek Davis is an LSU transfer, right? Like
Yep.
he is
Gateway
power,
too.
yeah, Power Five experience there. Like he have some depth at that position if Rodney gets hurt or something happens. But obviously he's the bell cow. He's the guy that's going to be getting all the touches this year. I'm excited to see what he can do in a full year as the starter because last year that obviously wasn't the case, and then the year before that we had Izzy. So
The one thing that I really didn't understand last year is it seemed bizarre. Cincinnati would run Daniel Carter like 10 snaps in a row for some reason. We started off the opener last year. Daniel Carter had all these carries. I'm like, what is going on here?
yeah,
It-
it's so confusing.
that was bizarre, but it's good. It's good to have Rodney Hammond, clear starter. He's going to be one of the best backs in the ACC. Could be one of the best backs in the country. Hot take right there. It's good to have Reed and Derek Davis as well. The spring game champion Derek Carter or Daniel Carter. Daniel Carter's still on the roster as well, so that's good. But this is Hammond's team. He is going to have a massive season, and I'm all for it.
I'd be shocked if we see Daniel Carter in many packages other than like goal line or short yardage, just because like offense is definitely more spread out this year. He is definitely more of a goal line back, and I was baffled that he was used that much last year, especially like Sebo and Rodney are the better open field runners. So it didn't make much sense at all. But nothing that Signetti didn't make much sense.
Yeah, I want to know what something was off with Rodney Hammond last year. They had something against him because they
Maybe.
just totally misused him. I mean,
Yeah.
it was malpractice. It really was. I mean, minimal usage. There was minimal usage of him. I was so
Yeah.
baffled.
Yeah, I was too. Ronnie Henry won the ACC championship, and he was given the ball in the fourth quarter. He was get a first down every time. He was so powerful. Last year, he kind of, well, 2 years ago, he got kind of banged up, which led to Izzy's emergence. But yeah, I like the running back room a lot. Hammond, with how fast this team's gonna play, we need a lot of running backs. It's gonna be tiring out there. So Hammond's gonna be the mostly I would say first and second down, some third down. I think Desmond Reed will be that pass catching, fast scat back. But I think Daniel Carter will be used for short yards and goal line, like the Fish said. Derek Davis, we didn't see much from him, but he's a very, prize recruit at a high school, whippy old gateway guy. So maybe next year will be the maybe I don't know. We'll see what Derek. I'm not sure what Derek Davis's role is, but I definitely see Ronnie Hammond as the starting running back with Desiree third down, pass catching with Daniel Carter as the goal line. So let's move on to the wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of talent there. Like Kenny Johnson showed a lot last year, a lot of promise. I think he was our best wide receiver last year by far. And that's not like there weren't too many we didn't pass the ball a lot, so there wasn't much to be seen out of the other guys, but I really liked what I saw out of Kenny Johnson, a good combination of fast and physical, and I mean, obviously he's fast because he's returning kicks, but I think he does have the potential to be number one wide receiver. And then having Mumfield, who's been here for a couple of years, Dejon Reynolds didn't see too much from him last year. Again, probably just because of the offense, so he's kind of a wild card. And then we've got guys relatively highly touted prospects coming behind him, like Zion Fowler and Lamar Seymour, who we'll see if they get opportunities this year, but. Yeah, the wide receiver group, I think, all things considered, is pretty good.
Yeah, I really think Monfield's going to have a huge season. Last 2 years, obviously, it is what it is. True potential wasn't shown, but he's going to have a big season. Kenny Johnson, massive season coming his way. He could be a pro player. I really believe it. Even as a sophomore this year, he's going to have such a huge season. A Zion Fowler, like the team get integrated as well. We're going to need everybody this year. We're going to be fast-paced offense, so we're going to need all hands on deck.
I agree. Like I said, the running backs with it, how fast this offense is going to be playing, we're going to use a lot of guys, and I like the wide receiver room as well. I mean, what are you supposed to show? And again, your quarterback cannot throw a ball more than 5 yards. I mean, Mumfield hasn't been used properly the last 2 years. I think he's super talented. He had some really good games last year. Reynolds, the transfer from Florida, he has potential. Kenny Johnson's, like you guys said, he had a really good season last year. Sincere Lee and Raphael Williams were two guys that came over for Western Carolina. Williams was with Western Carolina. I think he's come from San Diego State, but those are two burners. Those guys are super fast. And one guy you guys haven't talked about, which I'm really intrigued by, is Che Nubako. That guy's like lightning fast. I would love to. Did I say his name? Did I say his last name right?
Nobuko, maybe? I don't know.
I don't even know. I'm not even going to try.
Dude, that guy, he's a track. He runs for the Pitt track team. Like, he is so fast. We need to use him this year. So let's talk about the offensive line. I actually really like it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, looking at it right now, Branson Taylor, Ryan Jacoby, Terrence Moore, BJ Williams, Ryan Baer, all these guys have had experience as starting offensive linemen, and I think that they're in positions that suit them well. BJ Williams is one guy I'll talk about. He was thrust into that guard position last year. It was him and Jason Collier, who were sort of splitting time. And I remember he came in the Cincinnati game, and I was like, who is this guy? And he was actually he held his own. He had some, again, I'm not very good at judging offensive linemen, but overall, I feel like he maybe can be an anchor in this offensive line, especially given that he had some experience last year that other guys who are sophomores probably didn't have, or freshmen then don't have. So we'll see. Ryan Baer, another guy who's he was a highly touted prospect. I think he was a 4-star. So I hope that he takes a step forward this year. But overall, I mean, the offensive line can stay healthy. That's the main thing for me, because if you look at our ACC championship team, that offensive line was just healthy. There were no injuries, no nothing, no issues. They all worked together over the course of those 12, 13 games. They built up that consistency and rapport, and it paid off in success. So if that can happen again and we don't see too many injuries, then we can be successful. That's the key to it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the best offensive line we had since that ACC championship team. It's going to be good. Like you said, we got to keep everybody healthy. Everybody healthy. Ryan Baer, one of my favorite players on the team, honestly, just a big, strong offensive lineman. I love him. He's great. And it's going to be good to have Jacoby back. A lot of experience, too, on the line, which is needed. Especially in this new offense. We need experience, and it's going to be a good brick wall for sure.
I really like the offensive line. Branson Taylor's been really good. Ryan Baer, like Tim said, he's a beast. Jacoby didn't play at all last year. I thought he was fantastic 2 years ago. Terrence Moore, when Cradle wasn't really a good center, he came in. He was awesome. And BJ Williams is a young guy, but the thing is, though, we have so much depth behind those guys. Like Lyndon Cooper was a good transfer from NC State. He could start. He could probably start guard week 1. We really don't know. Terrence Ennis is also good. Our boy Jason Collier, like we have depth. Like watching the Steelers with Mike Munchak, there's wing tackles, like they come off the bench and like are impact. Like this offensive line is experienced and they're good. I'm super excited. I think this offense, on paper, it's good. Depends on I think Kate Bell's offense will be good. Hopefully Yarnell will be able to learn it. Because if you guys remember, when Mark Whipple came in, Sean Watson's offense 2018, it was very similar to Signetti. All he did was run the ball. It took a year for Pickett to really like figure out Whipple's offense. So there might be some growing pains, but overall we have the pieces. It just matters if the offense will fit and how Yarnell plays. So let's move on to the defense, which has been such a steady unit for us with Randy Bates as defensive coordinator. So let's start off with Pitt's strength, one of the best units of all college football. Probably dominated the sack quantity the last 5 or so years. So talk about the D line.
Yeah, the D line, we got a lot of people who left. I think, like, most notably, Dayon Hayes and Van Brema pretty recently left as well. So I mean, the most important departure from that position group is Coach Partridge, who, like, I don't know how long back he's been the coach for, but they've just been, like, we've been so consistent. If there's any question preseason of, like, oh, what's the defensive line going to look like, it hasn't been an issue because of him. So that's honestly the biggest loss here and why this position group might be the most biggest question mark on defense. But we did bring in some transfers like Matlack. I think he's from Kansas State. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. He'll start right away. And he has Power 5 experience, right? That's huge. Sean Fitzsimmons, I've seen him make plays maybe just last year a couple times, and he has experience. Sincere Edwards is a freshman who should make an impact relatively early. And then David Ojieg, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he was really Ojegbe. He was really good for me in college football 25 in like the second year. Like he almost won the Defensive Player of the Year award. So I have high I have high expectations for it based on that. But yeah, I think like it'll be different without Coach Partridge, but I will say I'm not super worried about them, or at least like not as worried as I was earlier on in the summer when I was thinking about the team. Like a lot of my concerns have just been eased by just time going by.
I was very concerned. I had class. It was a Monday night class. It was right after the Partridge news came out. And there were a lot of football players in that class, and they were just completely heartbroken and shocked. They're like, how are they going to get over this? I mean, Charlie Partridge, he was the glue. He was that guy. And it's a little rebound. No worries about that. One question I do have, maybe you guys can answer this. Redshirt junior year, and Elliot Donald still isn't moving anywhere. That's concerning. Also,
That's pretty baffling.
Sophomore, give him time. I'm worried right now. He's buried on the depth chart. The talented 2021 recruiting class, Nakai Dillonson. Good to see that he'll be starting most likely. Joe Fitzsimmons, obviously. There's a lot of good pieces on defense, on the defensive line. I think they'll be as explosive as always. They'll be getting to the quarterback a lot. That's what Narduzzi. That's his bread and butter. So I think it's going to be no different this year.
Yeah, just a lot of new faces. Like the last couple of years, we've been kind of relying on our core from the ACC championship team. I feel like that run's kind of over now. A lot of those guys, the younger guys we got those years who were freshmen and incoming recruits are now the starters. I mean, I think it's Nakai Johnson's breakout season. I think it's Fitzsimmons' breakout season. Jimmy Scott's listed as a starter right now. I mean, he was a pretty big recruit. And one guy I'm very excited for, he's been kind of trending on Twitter, is Francis Brayu. Like, the guy's a freaking beast. Like, I think he's the next Jalen Twyman / Kalijah Cansey player for us. A Jegbase coming from Clemson. If you play at Clemson, you're obviously good. I mean, the Tim Dowse looks like a pretty good defensive line coach, and Narduzzi's there, Bates is there. They're gonna have a good pass rush. I think they're gonna be fine. Losing Partridge is a huge loss. It's bigger than any loss we've had. He's dominated recruiting in Florida. That unit was just get it QBK. So it sucks. He's gone, but I think these younger guys are gonna step up, and we still have a lot of that formula still here. So I think we'll still get to the passer. So let's talk about the linebackers.
Yeah, so for the linebacking core, I'm actually really excited about this group. Even with some of the losses the past couple of years, the fact that we still have Brandon George there, who's been around for a while, and he should be like an anchor of the defense and like someone who can mentor the younger guys. There are a lot of younger guys here at linebacker with promise, like Rasheem Miles, Kyle Lewis, Braylon Lovelace, and a guy who I think is poised for a breakout, Jordan Bass. He was a 4-star recruit. He had a lot of experience last year, including I think he had 1 start. Played in a bunch of games, and I think he showed a lot of promise and has a lot of potential. I think a lot of these guys, they're only sophomores, and they do. So I wouldn't expect a ton from them early on this season, but as the season continues to go on, I think the linebacking core is going to hold its own. And we've been pretty good at linebacker, sneaky good at linebacker consistently over the last 5-10 years. Like you could think of any year, and you've got a middle linebacker who's pretty solid. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about this group, even though they're pretty young.
Yeah, it's interesting. Linebackers, as we've been used to, veteran, been around a while, experience. This year, young and talented, chip on their shoulder type of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Brandon George will hold the fort down, be the anchor for the younger guys. But I think I'm feeling very confident, even though they're young. I'm very confident about the linebacking core.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter that people are unhappy with the linebackers coach. I'm not even sure if he's there anymore. I forget his name, but look at last year as the linebackers. We usually have the linebackers we have are usually pretty fast. Like Servassier was a lightning rod. Nose was always on the ball. And last year, Kyle Lewis, Jordan Bass, Braylon Lovelace, those guys are super fast, and that's the sometimes when we won the ACC championship, our defense weren't the biggest guys. We were just so fast, and I hopefully get back to that. But I'm excited even for Key Thompson, the transfer from Ohio. I think he's gonna be a factor. And Brandon George, he's not the most talented, but his leadership's gonna help a ton in that room because we have a really young room. But I think those guys, as a committee, I think they're gonna be pretty solid. So here, let's talk about the secondary.
Yeah, secondary, I mean, we're losing a lot of pieces at corner, at least. To go from MJ and Marquez Williams to these guys to Rylan Gandy, Rashad Battle. I mean, Rashad Battle's experience that he's just had a bunch of, he's been injured the past 2 years almost entirely. So now he's going to have to be eased back. You got Jeremiah Anglin as a transfer coming in. I don't know. The cornerbacks, I'm pretty iffy on, but at the same time, the way that Narduzzi has played his defense over the however long he's been our coach is he puts the corners on an island, 1v1, and a lot of times they'll get beat, and we'll just have to live with that. So I don't think that it's necessary, and this is just another position group, the cornerbacks, that's going to be young. There's going to be growing pains, but hopefully over time, we'll see some growth from these guys, and over the course of this season, they'll improve as the season goes on. That's really all you can ask. And I mean, the safeties, you got a lot of experience there, and I think that's very good to sort of juxtapose what's going on with the corners with the safeties, where you have Donovan McMillan, Javon McIntyre, PJ O'Brien, and then Cruz Brickens, there's been a lot of talk about him in training camp too, falling out. So I think it's kind of interesting that you have the safeties that are really experienced and we know that they're going to be good, and the corners who are young and kind of wild cards.
Yeah, quarterback position, young. I'm not too concerned. Like we talked about it, it's not going to make or break the defense. I mean, we're used to our guys getting torched at corner sometimes. I'm not too worried. Donovan McMillan, it's interesting. He's receiving so much praise this offseason, even nationally he is. And obviously he's getting big time praise from Narduzzi as well. So I think he's gonna have a huge season as long as he's not dragging any players off the field like he did in the Wake Forest game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I think he's gonna have a huge season. I think he might even be he's gonna be the star of the defense in my opinion. This praise he's getting it's unreal right now. But yeah, the corners, they'll be young, hungry, and man, it is what it is. They'll develop over time. Dude's got their back. I'm not too worried about that.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. What's it called? Donovan McMillan led our team last year in tackles as a safety because every team that we're going up against, the runners would get to the second level so frequently. But again, I think the linebackers were just inexperienced, right? So another year will help with that. And I still think McMillan is going to have another great year, like 1 year into the system. So
Yeah, I'm super excited for Donovan. He went to my high school, which is super cool. He's getting Peters Township's name out there. I mean, our football programs kind of sucked historically, and Donovan's put us on the map. He's awesome. So happy what he's doing. I think he's on his way to the NFL. He's an amazing tackler. He's kind of reminds me of Jordan Whitehead a little bit. McIntyre's a ball hawk. The safeties are awesome. I mean, O'Brien's really good. Maybe he could play some corner if we need help there. And Chris Brookins is up next. The corners, I want to see Rashad Battle. I don't really know where he's been the last 2 years, but I mean, he played a lot on the championship team. I would like him to, you know, be the number one corner this year if he's healthy. Rylan Gandy, I've heard good things out of on Twitter. Jeremiah Anglin, another transfer from Kentucky, is where MJ came from. He looks pretty good, and yeah, it's gonna be some growing pains, but like you said, with our system, the quarterbacks don't have to be that. I mean, they have to be good, but it's kind of just like it happened. We've had NFL corners every single year, and they've struggled here because
Fontaine Alex, Jason Pinnock. I mean,
yeah,
I can't really think of other guys, but yeah.
Dane Jackson, Damari
Yep.
Mathis,
Wow, yeah.
yeah, and Pinnock plays safety now, so. But yeah, I think with the system we have, those guys are going to struggle probably anyways because we have a lot of good guys who've been here who've struggled. But yeah, I think we're going to be good. I think the defense will be good as usual. And I guess we can briefly talk about the kicker and the punter. Sauls is pretty good, but he's going to miss a lot. And Junko sucks, but hopefully.
That's all the
We're-
analysis you need right
Yeah,
there.
we're not gonna be punting the ball this year, so it's all good. It all works.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Sauls is kind of just like he's a really strong leg. He can be accurate at times, but he's definitely better than Alex Kessman, my least favorite Pitt football player of all time. I booed him at the Pitt basketball game.
Oh gosh.
I think Souls is better than 2021 championship.
Scarton.
Sam Scarton, yeah.
I mean, Scarton was fine. He was accurate. Just didn't have like that much of a leg.
No
He
leg at
missed
all.
extra points so frequently, though.
There was a rumor. There was a rumor I heard that apparently he was playing so much because we didn't have anyone that could hold for a lefty kicker, or like it was more challenging to
Wow.
hold for a lefty
Such a
kicker.
Wow, that's
That is
interesting.
such a pick
Yeah,
thing.
that's just a rumor. So take it with a grain of salt. I don't remember where I heard it from, but
It
like
was such a
I don't
pick
know.
thing.
So yeah, let's start going through the schedule. I mean, week one, we should kill Kent State. Let's not even talk about like we need to kill Kent State and Youngstown State. Youngstown State given us so much trouble historically. I was at the game in 2017 where we almost lost. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So
Hey man, I'll say this much: the last time we lost to a MAC opponent at home, we won the ACC. So I mean,
Yeah, that day was a complete uproar. I mean, they were ready to throw Narduzzi into the river that day.
I'm not gonna lie, like
I was sick, so I missed that game, which was very good that I did. But
It was,
you know,
it was probably the worst Pitt football. Yeah, the worst will always be 51-6. I'm
It
not
was
gonna lie.
95 degrees that day. I'm burning.
It was awful.
It was a torturous day. I'm thinking to myself, oh, at least basketball is going to be good this year. But man, was I proven wrong on both.
Yeah, that
both
was
counts
pretty
there.
wrong.
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's move on to week two at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's, when you watched the game last year, it looks like this year they're pretty strong in the trenches. They're headlined by right guard Luke Condra and defensive tackle Dante Corleone. Cincinnati's offense is pretty crappy. So what do you guys think? You were to win that game or lose that game?
I'm predicting a loss, but I think it's pretty even as far as skill is concerned. I think Cincinnati, they had a pretty big loss in their defense. Like, the defensive line was supposed to be really good, and I think one of their best, like, a top NFL draft prospect got hurt and is out for the season. I don't remember his name exactly.
For this year or last year?
This year.
Is it Corleone?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I remember, like, I saw it on Twitter, and people at Cincinnati were like, this is a big loss. So, I don't know. We'll see how their defensive line holds up after that, but I don't know. It's just going to be tough, especially with that new offense, and there's going to be growing pains. I don't see us winning this game.
Fish, you are correct. Corleone is out indefinitely with blood clots. I'm praying for him. I hope he's okay because he is a great
Same here.
player.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm overreacting, but if Pitt would go in there week 2 and win, that would be big time. And I mean, I'm talking big time. That would be on the road, week 2, new offense. That would change the outlook of my season.
Yeah.
Not feeling confident that'll happen though. Last year was a disgrace. That was bad. We're going there. I'm not feeling too confident. I'm going to chalk it up as a loss as well, but we'll see what happens.
So, um, when the schedule came out, it was around basketball season. I thought we were gonna go 4-8 again, but I'm convincing myself we're gonna be good again. So Cincinnati's offense is pretty bad. Corleone's out. He's not gonna be able to hold up the line as their line's not gonna be as good. I think we're gonna win that game. I think we're the better team, and I think we're gonna go in there and get revenge off of last year's disgrace, like Tim said. So, yeah, I'm gonna have us 2-0. And every single year, I mark a game as I call it the quote unquote the coin flip game, where it can go either way. And if we win the coin flip game, that's gonna go on to be a successful season. I'm marking week 2 as the coin flip game. It can go either way. I could. So I think if we can win that, like if what Tim said, if we win that game, that'll be huge to go into WVU. So let's talk about the backyard brawl. West Virginia this year and last year, their strength of the team has been their offensive line. We saw that in the 38-31 game where their offensive line was really good. I mean, and last year, their center Zach Frazier's now in the Steelers. Their left tackle Wyatt Millum is he's a fantastic left tackle. And Garrett Green was really good last year, and they could really run the ball. They have two really good running backs, one being C.J. Donaldson. The other guy's escaping my mind. So their strength of the team is definitely their offensive line, their running game. So let's talk about the backdoor brawl. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, think they are pretty clearly the better team. They like have the more experienced offense, and I don't know. They should be the favorite, expected to win. I'll admit it. Hate to admit it because it's West Virginia, but that's like the reality of it. Garrett Green's a really solid quarterback, but it's the backyard brawl. Anything can happen. It's one game. We're gonna be at home. Give me the Panthers. Give me Pitt.
Oh,
Give me Pitt as well. We need the fans to show up. I'm confident they will, but we need them to show up. We can't put any idea in their head that 75% WVU fans, all that crap. No, we need to be there. We need to be loud. Pitt's gonna win. Pitt's gonna win 24-21. Game-winning field goal by Ben Stolz. Mark it down, 55 yards. No, I'm feeling confident. You clearly the better team, but you know what? It's a backyard brawl. It's total euphoria is gonna carry Pitt for the win. Mark it down.
I'm not flying out there and working remotely those couple of days to lose, so we better
let's
get
go,
that.
Bush.
Yeah, there'd be such a bitter taste in my mouth if we lose. I can't stand them.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes on Twitter is like the team we want to win, to beat the most is Penn State. The team we can't lose to is WVU, and I I have talked to people who follow the Big 12. They say West Virginia is the most overrated team in the conference last year. Their schedule was extremely easy. Um, it's the backyard brawl. Anything can happen, like the fish said, and we're gonna win the game at home. I think we're gonna start the season 3-0.
Well,
No, we're gonna be
4-0,
4
right?
Yeah, if we don't lose Youngstown State against them.
Dude, I'm telling you, if we're 4-0 or even 3-1 going into conference play, that has me really excited.
Yeah,
If we're 4-0, are we top 25 yet?
yes, with 2 wins against the Big 12, definitely.
All
It
right.
depends on how much we win those games by, in my opinion,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
All right, ranked going into UNC. I like it.
Yeah, so the next game is North Carolina, whose Mac Brown's had a lot of NFL talent in there, not much success. They're led by running back Amari Hampton, who's one of the best running backs in the country, with a stud pass rusher in Kamon Rucker. So yeah, what do you guys think about that game? It's gonna be a tough one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they lost Drake May to the NFL, but their new quarterback this year, his name's slipping my mind, but I was watching a little bit of
It's
the.
Max Johnson.
Oh, it is Matt Johnson. I thought it was the guy who started in the Mayo Bowl. Never mind. Yeah,
Oh, it
Max
might be
Johnson.
that guy. It might be that guy too. I
Well,
think it's a
I mean,
competition.
okay, yeah. If it is either way, like you either get someone that's really experienced, or you have someone who I remember being really mobile in their bowl game last year, like watching it, like he could really run around, and I think he might, if he does start, he might cause problems for our young linebacking core. So I think UNC's offense, they have the advantage over us, and especially we're going to be on the road. It's going to be a tough test for our first game of ACC play. I'm chalking this one up as a loss.
Connor Harrell, yeah, it looks like he will be the starting quarterback, and he was very mobile quarterback, so the fish was correct.
Yep.
He made a little loss as well. Narduzzi, there's one place he has not won. Is UNC, I don't believe, at UNC. No, I don't think he
Yeah,
has.
I don't know. We could not beat them for a long
We
time.
couldn't beat him at home for a while. But yeah,
Yeah.
UNC.
I agree. We haven't got the monkey off our back playing UNC there. We just 2016 we were playing Mr. Trubisky, and that game was heartbreaking. We lost our last minute touchdown. UNC's game, well, since Mac Brown's gotten there, we've done pretty well against them. Larry Fedora kind of owned us for like literally no reason, but I think UNC's a really talented team. It's gonna be a really tough game, so I think we could afford a loss there. I think we probably will lose the game. UNC's a pretty talented team, so I think we'll go down. So yeah, let's move on to week 6. New ACC member California coming to the Acrisure Stadium. They're headlined by their star starting running back Jaden Ott, he's awesome. He's so awesome. Super excited to watch him play live. He's electric. So how do you guys feel about the week 6 tune up against Cal?
Yeah, I mean, Ott's really good. Cal overall as a football program is not historically very good. Being in a new this is kind of a universal thing for me as far as these three new teams, Cal, Stanford, and SMU. I just think it's going to be really challenging for them to get settled into the conference and, play at a high level right away. I mean, obviously the Pac-12 is a power conference and they were playing against power opponents, but it's just like different when you have to fly 6 hours across the country from San Francisco to Pittsburgh to play us. And their games before us, if you look at their schedule, they play Auburn early on in the season. Then they're 2 weeks before us. They have Florida State and then a bye and then Miami. So they're going to have gone through the ringer, which is either a really good thing for us because they'll be really exhausted and will have been crapping and slawing every single game, or a really bad thing for us because they'll have been crapping and slawing every single game. I can't speak. You know what I mean? But I think we're going to pull this one out. I'm not too worried about the new Pac-12 members or SMU personally, at least this first year.
This is a no doubt win, which makes me think it's going to be Narduzzi's, one of Narduzzi's trap games. I'm trying to get that thought out of my head right now.
Good point.
I think this is going to be a win traveling across country, like we talked about. Coming to pretty city of Pittsburgh, they're not going to be ready for it. That should be an easy win.
Yeah, we've always stopped the run really well under Narduzzi. That's the strength of their team, and I think with all the circumstances with them flying across the country, their tough schedule like the this has to be let out. Pitt winning that game. Next week, week 7, the old-fashioned rivalry against Syracuse. They're headlined by new Ohio State transfer quarterback Kyle McCord, which the whole country knows about, and their stud tight end Oron Gadsden. How do you guys feel about Syracuse coming in?
I think Syracuse should be pretty good this year, should be improved on what they had last year. I mean, last year they weren't bad either, but especially with what's his face? Duey, when you said like Kyle McCord, you told me this earlier off the podcast, but like at Ohio State, there was a lot of pressure on him. He's a young quarterback. He didn't perform very well. You think that when he moves to Syracuse, he goes out of the limelight, out of the spotlight, perform a little bit better. And honestly, I have to agree with you. I think they're going to be a pretty good team. They have a pretty easy schedule up to our point, so I think they'll build up confidence. I think they're going to come into Acrisure Stadium and beat us.
Oh man. Dudes
Sorry.
never lost the Cuse at home.
I have to pick a game that we're gonna lose. I have to be unbiased as much as I can be. Obviously, the West Virginia pick wasn't unbiased. But...
Pitt's going to win this game. As long as no Syracuse tight ends completely dominate us in the run game for some reason. Remember last year, in New York, their tight end lit us up. Yeah. So I'm feeling confident Pitt's going to win. On McCord, obviously, he's going to be a totally different player this year. A lot less weight on his shoulders, but Pitt's going to get the W, and I'm getting nervous right now because this record's too good to be true based off my predictions. So
yeah, same
I'm
with
getting
me.
very nervous right now.
Same with me. So yeah, I think we'll beat Syracuse. So we've never lost to them at home, and I think, I just think we're gonna win the game at home. Let's move on to week 8. New ACC member Southern Methodist. We're going all the way to Dallas, Texas. They're headlined by their star quarterback Preston Stone with a really good offensive line, headlined by Logan Parr. How do you guys feel like the trip to Dallas will go?
I'll never forget that they beat us in like the 2011 BBVA Compass Bowl in Birmingham. It's a very obscure fact, but they did. And I think we get revenge for that loss 13 years ago. I think we go to the stadium and win. Again, I sort of...
Daniel Sanders on that team.
Wow, I didn't even know he went to SMU.
He did, yeah.
What's it called? Preston Stone, really good quarterback. I think they're going to be the best team out of the three of Cal and Stanford and them.
It's not going to be close.
Yeah, but I will say there's still going to be growing pains for them in the ACC. I think we go in there and we get the job done.
Yeah, I'm with the fish. We're going to go in there. We're going to take care of business. We're going to show them what the ACC really looks like. And, I think it's going to be a 24-17 victory.
I guess I'm just I've been an optimist the first 7 weeks. I think SMU's going to be ranked. I think they're really good. And I think I think it's gonna be a really tough game. I mean, we're not gonna be driving. Why did I say that? We'll be flying like 5 hours. It's gonna be tough, and I think we're gonna take a tough road loss. So week 9, home against Virginia, probably maybe the worst team in the ACC. They're headlined by their strong safety Jonas Sanker. How do you guys feel about the home game against Virginia?
I think we should be able to win against them relatively easily. Hopefully, it's a blowout. There isn't really much to be said here. Virginia's never been. I mean, obviously they were good a couple years ago. They had Brennan Armstrong, and he was at the height of his powers.
Yeah,
But it's like historically, they've been kind of meh football wise. A couple of years here and there, and I think they're kind of going back down. I mean, 2 years ago, I remember that game where we started the game off with 2 pick sixes or whatever it was, or like
yeah.
started off red hot. I think it's going to be similar to that. I think we're going to blow them out.
Yeah, Virginia football's in the basement of the ACC. They're not going to be coming up anytime soon. Another terrifying game, in my opinion. Checkered history with basement teams. I'm gonna go with the blowout win. Hopefully, knock on wood. There's no reason. That would be inexcusable if Pitt will lose that game. So I think Pitt's gonna take care of business.
Dude, I'm
Yeah,
telling you, like Pitt and the Steelers, there's always one game on the schedule where we play down the competition. It's just a Pittsburgh thing. You're right, Tim.
Yep, it's
it is.
terrifying.
We've had some bad ones.
With
And
it.
2019, we could not win a game at home. It was so
That was
frustrating.
horrible.
So yeah, I'm with you guys. I think taking away the cupcake games, I think this is the game I'm most confident that we're gonna win this season. Virginia's pretty bad. I like their head coach Tony Allen coming from Clemson, but I don't know, they're just kind of still rebuilding. I mean, like Fish said a couple of years ago, like even in 2019, they were really good with Bryce Perkins and
Perkins, yeah.
Armstrong. We played that game for the Coastal, so yeah, I think we're definitely gonna win that game. Week 10 is the biggest. I mean, besides the backyard ball, it's the best team we're going to face all season. A home game against Clemson, one of the most anticipated home games in a while. They're headlined by their, prize recruit, quarterback Cade Klubnik, their outside linebacker, who's maybe the best player in the ACC, Barrett Carter, and defensive tackle Peter Woods. How do you guys feel about always a stacked Clemson team? Tell me, in.
Yeah, I think we'll. It's tough to say whether or not we'll put up a fight, but I'd be a fool to say we're going to win this game. Like Clemson is a tier above the rest. They always have been, even in their down years. They've been really good. I think I've always been really high on Klubnik. He hasn't really shown full potential yet, but I think he's going to get closer to that this year, especially near the end of the season. They'll have had a ton of experience. Our offensive line might be deteriorated. Carter might have a big game, and I think Clemson's going to win.
Yeah, people can say what they want about Dabo, but if the Clemson's, they still got dogs everywhere. I don't think that's gonna have a shot at all. Senior day, it's gonna be heartbreaking, but yeah, Pitt's gonna take a loss.
Yeah, I just think Clemson's way too much for us. They have 5 stars around the field. I just think we're probably gonna lose around. I think we'll lose anywhere from 14 to 20 points. I think we'll probably be like touchdown to touchdown behind around the whole game. It's just gonna be too much for us. Yeah, I'm gonna mark it down as a loss also. Week 11 is a team who made the ACC championship last year. We'll be heading to Louisville. They're headlined by quarterback Quincy Riley, pass rusher Ashton Gillott, and quarterback who's been around college football for a while, kind of from Texas Tech, Tyler Shue. How do you guys feel about heading out to Louisville?
Not super great, especially after coming off a loss to Clemson. I was surprised. I looked up our game history with Louisville, and we haven't played. Like we've obviously played there 2022. The time before then was 2011. It was a long time
Wow,
between
yeah,
between games. That's when we were both in the Big East. 2022
that's
was the first
that's
time we played them
crazy.
in Louisville in the ACC. The reason I looked this up is I had this thought in my head like, oh, we can't win it in Louisville for some reason. I haven't remembered us winning in Louisville for a long time. It's because we haven't played there in a long time. But either way, I don't know. I don't like this game. I see it as a loss.
Yeah, I'm going with a loss as well on the road. Louisville, they can get a tough crowd going, so I'm a little worried about that. Yeah, the loss.
I have it as a loss also. I think Louisville's going to be a ranked team most of the season. They're pretty strong on defense, and I think Shue's a pretty solid quarterback. So, yeah, I have us losing that game. Our finishing schedule is really tough. That's what I'm kind of just realizing. I mean, it's good. Our schedule, the first games is not bad at all. It's just the last stretch is going to be really tough. So we finish out the season, Thanksgiving week, heading out to Boston College. the teams going out to the Fish. They're headlined by their new head coach, Bill O'Brien, a really successful NFL coach and a college. Did really well at Penn State, and I think he's going to turn BC around. They have a really good quarterback in Thomas Castellanos. How do you guys feel about heading out to Boston?
Yeah, it's crazy because of course they had to schedule the Pitt BC game the one weekend I'm probably going to be in Pittsburgh, but whatever. I really like Castellanos. I think he's a really talented quarterback, another one of those like mobile guys who has a pretty strong arm. Bill O'Brien's their head coach now. There's a lot of hype around BC football this year that they could be good. It's so hard to predict these games this far out that are like kind of toss up because I feel like this one's a toss up. I'm giving us the win because I feel like the last week of the season Boston's not really a huge football, like college football. I mean, obviously they love the Patriots, but not a college football town. There won't be much of an atmosphere at Alumni Stadium, except for me hopefully being there. So I'm going to predict that Pitt will get the win.
Pitt's going to be the better team. Bill O'Brien, he's going to get Boston College there eventually. Actually, I think he's going to make him a powerhouse in the ACC. He's that good of a coach. Get him a few portal classes and recruiting classes to be good. Pitt's definitely, like I said, Pitt's clearly a better team. He's going to have more talent. Unfortunately, I have to do it at some point. This is going to be the Narduzzi loss. Yeah, give me the loss there.
I have us losing also. I just think Boston Falls will be pretty good. I think we'll be about equal this season. I just think going on the road, we'll definitely lose there. So, what do you guys like overall takes about the schedule overall? Any dips or valleys, or is any trends you see?
I agree with you guys. The very start of the schedule is relatively easy, and then it just gets harder as the season progresses. And those last three games are going to be a gauntlet. I don't want to be looking back and saying, "Oh, if we had done better in those last three games of the season, we might have been a better team." Like we just fell apart. Honestly, because doing it with your record prediction, that's kind of what you're predicting: 6-3 to start, and then losing those last three games. I don't want to be in that situation. So it's going to be very crucial to stay healthy throughout the season and get to that point in the season where we have those difficult games and take two of three of those. If we take two of three at Clemson, Louisville, and BC, I'll consider that a success. Right now, I have us at 7-5. I think our ceiling, with how easy the beginning of our schedule is, I think the ceiling could be like a 9-3 team again. Like I think we could get to that point. But at the same time, if things go wrong at the quarterback position or the offensive line gets really hurt really early in the season, we could go 3-9 again. There's a very high ceiling, very low floor for this team. I'm interested to see how it all plays out.
Those first four games are really going to determine the outlook of our season. If we don't start hard those first four games, it's going to be a complete nightmare the rest of the year. We have to beat Kent State after 3. Cincinnati would be nice. Have to beat WVU at home. We've got to get the momentum rolling. Obviously, Youngstown State. I think it just gets really hard from there. So you have to start very strong, even with this new offense. Get going right away. It'll set up for a great rest of the season.
Yeah, you guys nailed it. If we struggle to start the season, we're not gonna be bowl eligible. The finishing 5 games are just super hard. Besides Virginia, we have 3 really tough road games. Clemson's coming in. If we do not start fast, we are screwed. It's that simple. We have to start out hot. Like Fish was saying, probably optimistic, but I have this team starting 6-1. Yeah, 6-1. That's probably pretty unlikely, but whatever. But if we don't start that hot, we're gonna be on the risk of not being bowl eligible again. So that's what I'm seeing with my eyes. The schedule gets super hard to end the season. We have to start out fast. So you guys kind of mentioned it, but what do you guys have our final records being?
I've got us at 7-5. Think 4-4 in conference, and probably about middle of the pack in the ACC, like 10th.
Pack ACC for sure. I'm gonna go 8-4. 7-5 looks so good, but I'm gonna go 8-4. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic right now. It could be 4-8. It could be 2-10. But I'm just going 8-4.
It's funny, when the football schedule came out, I was just super upset about last season. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go 4-8, but playing the college football video game, reading Twitter a lot, I've kind of convinced myself we're gonna go 7-5. I kind of convinced myself a couple nights ago we're gonna beat Cincinnati, so I had us at 6-6 for a couple months. So I changed it to 7-5. I just feel like if we're not bowl eligible, it's going to be a disaster for the Pitt football program. So yeah, I'll be going 7-5. So let's finish out this podcast with some hot takes or bold predictions you guys have.
Here, Tim, go with Tim first. Come back to me. I'm gonna try to
All
come
right,
up with a
Tim, what do
creative
you
one.
have, man?
Not much of a hot take. It's just more of a statement. We're in, like I said before, we're in year 10 of our head coach. Year 10. We won a ACC championship a little less than 3 years ago. We're talking about potentially being in the 4-8 to 7-5 range. That's just unacceptable for year 10. There has to be some ray of sunshine this year, or else I think it's done. I think he's history. Okay, Cade Bell is going to determine whether or not Narduzzi is going to be the Pitt coach for the long term. Like this next contract. So this is a big year for Narduzzi. He has to prove himself. He can't he can't go back on his words. He's saying, "Oh, we're gonna have this offense. We're gonna score so much." I want to see that during a game. When Pitt's scoring a lot, I want to see how he handles that. I don't want him to start going back to, "Oh, we got to run the ball with defense. The clock has to start ticking." No, this is 2024. Score the ball, air it out, go deep. No excuses. This is your job, Martinez. This is your job right here.
I got a fun one now. This doesn't just apply to this year, so it could happen in the next couple of years. But Kenny Johnson, my hot take, again, this is a hot take. Kenny Johnson will be Pitt's next Bolitnikoff winner. That is my
What?
hot take.
Like this season?
No, I said this won't apply to just this year, but
Oh,
any of these years, he will be Pitt's next Bolitnikoff winner.
that
That is
is
my hot take.
that's crazy.
Hey, they don't call them hot takes for no reason.
You know what I just realized? We literally never talked about tight ends. I think it's self-explanatory. Gavin Bartholomew's gonna be
he's
good
gonna
this
be the best
season. I
tight
think
If he
end.
gets more involved, he's good.
Hot take. He's gonna be the best tight end in the country. Get him.
there you go.
That's a good hot take. That's reasonable.
Draft stock's gonna shoot up first and second round range. I'm feeling very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in Tim's route. I'm not really. I don't know. I don't really think there's much hot takes about this team. I guess a lot of people are just gonna think we're gonna suck again. I just think Narduzzi does his best work when no one's paying attention, and yeah, I think a lot of people don't think we're gonna be bowl eligible. I think we will be bowl eligible. It's not a hot take. I mean, that's embarrassing. We're talking about bowl eligibility right now, but I think the offense is better as people have seen because the coordinator. I think with a good coordinator, you'll see a lot of great plays, moving the ball downfield. I think the defense doesn't have any fancy names like usual, but I think a lot of these guys are gonna break out. And I think, it's a new era at Pitt football. We're not relying on the ACC core anymore. I think a lot of new recruits are going to break out. And yeah, I think we're going to have a really nice season. I mean, individual hot takes. I mean, I think Donovan McMillan's going to, be on the pretty close to winning the Jim Thorpe Award. So yeah, I'll go with that. I'm going to go with Donovan McMillan. He's going to be I think he's going to be one of the best players in the whole country. And I think Nakai Johnson's going to break out and have like 5 to 10 sacks. And overall, I think everyone's going to enjoy the new offense. I think Hammond has a big year. I think we get to see what Mumfield. He was a really highly priced transfer. I think he's going to have a big season. And I think the offensive line will be fantastic. And I really hope we get Bartholomew involved in the offense because he deserves it. He had a great freshman year, and everything's went downhill since. So I just think this program's going to bounce back this season. Any last thoughts, fellas?
Yeah, I mean, historically throughout my lifetime, Pitt football's been a 6-6, 7-5 team pretty consistently. I think we just go back to that. Last year was definitely a fluke with the terrible quarterback play and the terrible offensive coordination. We're not going to be 10-2 again or 9-3 again. At least I said it was possible. It's very unlikely, right? This is a mediocre. I hate to say it because I'm a huge Pitt fan, but this has historically been a mediocre football program, and we will go back to being a mediocre football program, and that's what we'll end it with.
Yep, we're going to be a mediocre football program. The offense is going to be good. Cade Bell's going to leave for a better job in a few years, and we'll just come back to that type of cycle. But no, I'm 7-5, 6-6 range for the long time, I feel, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
Sucks
Yeah,
given how
definitely.
good we used to be, or like at least going from the ACC championship to this, you would hope that would turn into long-term success, but unfortunately, we're back where we all started.
Well, that's the problem. Narduzzi did not. There's so much momentum after that season, and he just did not take advantage of that at all. Didn't recruiting, winning, nothing. So that was the killer.
Right.
He taken all the momentum in the world, and now we're back to ground zero.
For sure.
Well, it was great. Previewing the Pitt football team. I hope people listen to this and they learn a lot. And yeah, I would like to, maybe have a couple podcasts throughout the season recapping some games. I'd love to have a podcast after the season. I think we have a really good recruiting class coming in. So yeah, I'm really excited to, unfortunately we're not the Panther Bet anymore, but I'm excited to like showing up 15 minutes before the game, just relaxing and watching the game. Because the Panther Bet, I lost my focus every day. There's just too much going on in there. So thanks you guys for coming on. I'm really excited for another Pitt football season. Hell to bet.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us do it.
Of course.